Alright, just letting you know now because you're not going to be seeing this during the actual review. The shirt I'm wearing is 4 penguins crossing the street like Abbey Road by the Beatles. I felt that a shirt with animals behaving like humans would be the appropriate shirt to wear for a video about a movie about animals behaving like humans. I mean, it makes sense, right? Zootopia. So Zootopia is the newest movie from Walt Disney Animation. You know, they brought us Frozen, Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph, you know, all those awesome movies. And so now in this movie, we have a world where humans do not exist and it's all animals. And we've seen concepts like that before, you know, the movie Robots and the movie Cars, you know. So now we have animals and our main character is Judy Hopps. She's a little bunny rabbit, which makes her pretty much instantly likable. It's almost cheating. And she wants to be a police officer in the city of Zootopia, but in a world that is all animals and they're big animals like rhinos and lions, her chances of achieving her goal are pretty low. And so while working a case, she meets Nick Wilde the fox, and they go on their Tangled-like adventure together. Now, I really love how the characters were done in this movie. The voice acting was perfect. Judy Hopps voiced by Snow White from Once Upon a Time, and Jason Bateman as Nick Wilde was hilarious. And then there are some voices in this movie you recognize. You're like, oh my god, what are they doing in this movie? Like J.K. Simmons is in here, and Idris Elba. And of course, you gotta have Alan Tudyk in this movie somewhere because he's been in all these Disney animated movies. And speaking of tradition in Disney animation, they have once again created a world that is really cool to look at. You remember in Wreck-It Ralph, they made this video game world that makes so much sense to us. In Big Hero 6, the world of San Francisco, and now we have the animal metropolitan world of Zootopia. What can I say? It's eye candy. Now, the thing about this movie is that it actually did take a little while to get going, in my opinion. It is the classic story of the underdog who wants to achieve this really, you know, impossible goal, but everyone around her is like, pfft. Yeah, right. Which is a premise that we've seen many times before. 2 movies come to my head instantly. Robots and Rudy both really had the same premise. And now Zootopia too. But you know what? There's something about that premise that I really love. This is one of my favorite, like, stories in a movie that could happen. Why? Because it's relatable. So yeah, as predictable as this movie was, and that is a point deducted, I was still having a good time. And another tradition in these movies, these Disney animation movies that I really love, is that there is a twist somewhere towards the end of this movie that no one saw coming. You know, like, oh my god, Robert Callahan is actually the man in the mask. Oh my god, she froze her sister. Now, of course, I ain't gonna spoil this movie, but I'm saying it's in there and it's really good. This movie's got a really good story. So I'll say this movie is really predictable if you are familiar with the modern Disney formula. I'd say since 2008 with Bolt. Ever since then, all these Disney animation movies have these certain similarities, these constants that are always in there. And guess what? They work in Zootopia. The humor in this movie was drop dead hilarious, and there was some humor in this movie that Disney animation movies have never had before. I don't want to spoil it, but I have to talk about it. I'm gonna try to be as vague as I can. There are some points in this movie where they actually make Disney self-references. Like, they refer to the past Disney animation movies that have come out in the past few years. I'm not gonna say how or anything, but it made me crack up in my seat. I was laughing. And there's a scene at the end that's kind of an inside joke if you're a Frozen fan, involving Alan Tudyk and his character, and it's one of the funniest jokes in the movie. The one thing I'll say this movie could have done completely without is Shakira. Why was Shakira in this movie at all? I don't really know. I think that if she was not in this movie at all, the movie would really be no different. In fact, it might even be better. So Zootopia had great characters, great voice acting, great animation as always. The story was predictable, but it was relatable. So yeah, this Disney animation movie is right up there with the rest of them. So I will say, go see this movie while it's in theaters. So Zootopia, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And what is your favorite Disney animation of all time? I really want to know this one. If you have more than one, that's okay. For me, I got 2 of them. It's Tarzan and Lilo and Stitch. My childhood right there. But whatever your favorite Disney animated movie is, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.